Hey everybody, this is Perch, and this is a bit of a different look at the numbers, and there's a lot of disclaimers in what I'm about to show you. So as the graphics come up, it's really important that you understand the the various factors around it. This one is not as straightforward as what I've shown in the past. And I kind of questioned whether I wanted to show it at all, but it is information and there is actual data here, and it starts to paint a little bit of a picture. And as long as you remember the disclaimers I'm about to mention, then it can actually be very helpful. It helps put some things in perspective. So to these disclaimers, what I'm going to do here, if you read from the title of the video, you know what you're in for a little bit. I'm looking at Amazon, and in particular, Amazon book sales. Now, Amazon is semi-transparent in what sells and what doesn't. If you go to a book on Amazon.com, you can scroll about halfway down the page, you get product details, and then there's a bestseller rank. And it tells you where the book is in terms of all books, and then they usually have some other categories. Now, Amazon, as far as I can tell, it was once published, has over 1,000 different subcategories, and probably, I'm willing to make a guess here, it's probably much larger than that. For example, if I go to the book Primer, which was a book that DC produced, it's a graphic novel that DC produced, it gives me numbers for the book ranking, the DC Comics and graphic novel ranking, the children's, orphans, and foster home books, and children's superhero comics. It gives me numbers for all of those. And you can click on them and you can sort them and you can get quite a bit of data that way. But what you don't get is what does that ranking, what does that number mean in terms of actual volume sold? And so I give a lot of credit and a big thanks to Joe Corallo, who pointed me at tckpublishing.com. So tckpublishing.com has this interesting feature in here, if you will, or basic calculator that you can put in. It's called an Amazon sales calculator. It's by Tom Corsa-Knowles, and it's if you really want to understand some of the details around this, and if you start using it heavily, I do recommend you head down and start reading the comments, because the comments are giving you the disclaimers for what is correct and what is not correct and how is it ranked. But basically, what this calculator does is you plug in that bestseller rank of book. You even have to pick if you're an ebook or a book, and then it will tell you the sales per month and the one-day sales. Now, this is an estimate, but it's a very accurate estimate. And you can read for the site yourself of how they're coming to that data and everything else, but it is actually a very accurate look at what is actually selling. It's an estimate, but they show their math and they talk about how it's got a 6% error rate, and 6% is very much a good number to hit, and it gives you trends. So you would not want to use this calculator if you were, say, I'm selling this book. I want to know exactly how many copies that Primer, this graphic novel, sold. If you're going to this calculator and you're pulling out a number, you'd get a number, but it wouldn't be dead accurate. It'd be off. But it would be off within 6%. And so what this means is when you compare, say, Primer to Three Jokers or to My Hero Academia or whatever it is, when you compare them together, you get the scale, you get the basic ranking. You see how these books compare to each other, because if one book is 6% off, they're all 6% off in terms of numbers. So you can get a vague, not vague, vague is the wrong word. You can get a pretty good sense of where stuff stacks up. Now, the other very important thing to do, and then we dive into the numbers here because it paints a fascinating picture, is this calculator is giving you sales per month, current sales per month. So what does that mean and why does that matter? Well, then it means that the age of how long the book has been out matters a great deal, because this isn't giving you historical sales. This is giving you a snapshot of right now. It's giving you the current sales per month based on the bestseller ranking. So new books are going to be higher than old books. But therein we get more data, because if we pull the publishing date, it tells us how old is this book, how is it ranking, and it gives us an interesting look of what is currently moving in the industry today. So I'll give this as an example. In the chart I'm about to show you, I'm going to show you a number of different books from Marvel, from DC, from manga publishers, from YA authors like Raina Telgemeier and others. And Raina Telgemeier has absolutely sold a ton of books. You can actually go, you can search in Google Raina Telgemeier, you could see how many books she sold. That's public information of how many units have moved of books like Smile. But at the same time, Smile has been out for several years now. So it's not top of the charts because this chart is showing you what's selling right now. Still doesn't mean it's not a popular book. But that's how you have to kind of wait and look at these numbers. Okay, are you confused yet? I hope not, because let's take a look at what we've got. So this first graphic that I'm showing you on the screen right now is the current monthly graphic novel sales on Amazon, okay? And this is for what I would call quote unquote comic publishers, Marvel, DC, IDW, Dark Horse, etc. And what I've done here is I've gone to the bestseller ranking and I've captured them. Now it's quite possible, I mean it's 100% possible, I'm missing some, but I've gotten a pretty good assortment of books that are showing up on the chart. And what do we see? Well, number one, we see that the Marvel Encyclopedia is outselling anything else Marvel is doing by a mile. The second strongest thing they've got here is the Marvel 100 Comics That Built a Universe. And then finally, poor old Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. The comic that Marvel produces that actually works for YA that they seem to never want to talk about. I do not know why. It is a mystery to me. And then you got things in DC, Three Jokers, again, not terribly surprising. Watchmen. Watchmen is a bit of a disclaimer on Watchmen. They've republished that in so many different formats that it shows up on the list multiple times. But we can see currently right now a general snapshot of what's selling. Three Jokers, Umbrella Academy, Watchmen, The Boys, and a lot of these make sense. Poor DC Comics Encyclopedia is no comparison to the Marvel Encyclopedia. But we get down to the Raven YA OGN, which is from what I can tell, the strongest performing OGN, the Beast Boy and Raven. So Beast Boy is selling about 718 copies a month. That's not a huge number, but okay, Raven 517. And what's important to note here in this whole thing, and you'll also see this on the screen, is the days in market. So things like the Marvel Encyclopedia has been in the market for 619 days. Things like Three Jokers has been in the market 24 days. You'd expect Three Jokers to be higher than that. The baffling part is, again, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur been on the chart for 1,620 days, and it is still clocking in at 255 copies a month. That's impressive. Good for it. That book has made money. You can just kind of project out that it's definitely made money over time. Poor old Gotham High, though. Gotham High has been on the chart for less than a year. It's pulling in 37 copies a month. 37. And Mira Tiebreaker is just one copy behind that at 36. Now, Mira has been in the market a lot longer, but still, some interesting numbers. But here's where it gets interesting. Let's go ahead for sake of looking at this picture and add in manga. Immediately, the picture starts to look pretty crappy for the Western publishers. My Hero Academia, which has been in the market 1,956 days. My Hero Academia Book 1 is just destroying almost everything else on that list, and it's really not terribly close. I mean, it's been in the market 3 times as long as that Marvel Encyclopedia, and it's still moving 5,187 copies a month. Then you see the My Hero Academia Book 3, you see Demon Slayer in there, Book 4, Book 2, etc. I didn't go down the rabbit hole. And by the way, this is Amazon US, so this is the translated My Hero Academia. If we start to roll in things like the Japanese, the original text, and some of these other pieces, then this number gets really scary really fast for Western comics. But if you just look at how things are basically producing. Now, you may go for a second, well, wait a minute. You're picking some titles here. Are you picking the right ones? I'm picking them off the list of what currently is listed as a bestseller. It's interesting to pull the picture this way. But let's go a little bit further. Let's go ahead and throw in Raina Telgemeier and a book I've mentioned before that I never seem to remember, The Babysitter Club. This is some of the YA graphic novel stuff. Babysitter Club's probably a little younger than YA, but there's Babysitter Club. There's Guts, which is the most recent Raina Telgemeier book. Still, Guts has been in the market 451 days. Babysitter Club, 101 days. But look at how the yellow, which is the manga books, and the orange, which is stuff like Babysitter Club and YA, is just starting to kind of dominate this picture. You see the poor Poor DC Blue and Marvel Green is, other than that encyclopedia, is hanging in there, just getting pushed further and further down the chart. But we're not done. Are you ready for the horror? Or the buying power, the absolute power that is Dav Pilkey? Are you ready for this? Here we go. When we add in good old Dogman, Dogman makes this, I've had some people in the comments talk about how, why does he mention Dogman? Who cares about Dogman? I don't care about Dogman. Here's why people care about Dogman. 32,188 copies of this book out a month. Days in the Market 101. And again, please note the title at the top. This is Amazon. Does not include Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble, other sources, Scholastic. This is just Amazon. And this curve, unfortunately, for, say, Marvel and DC, this curve looks much more severe when you start to throw in Walmart and Target and places like that, because there's very little Marvel and DC Western comic publisher stuff going on at those stores. But they do carry Dogman, they do carry Babysitter Club, they do carry even some manga. I mean, Target and Walmart started carrying My Hero Academia. These numbers get, like the cliff, becomes super, super severe of what's going on in the market. But this picture is sobering. Like I made the joke with Sean Murphy during our live stream last week that, Dav Pilkey's like swimming around Scrooge McDuck in a big pool of money. Like, that's not far off. I mean, he clocks out at 2 books a year. This is nuts in terms of what's going on. And you look at something like, our number 3 book there that's only selling 8,273 copies. Dogman, this is Dogman 1. This has been in the market 1,564 days. It spanks anything going on from the Western publishers. By the way, I should have mentioned this earlier, but some people talk about where is Dark Horse Comics are on the brink. The fact that the Umbrella Academy zooms in higher than many other books, that's been good for them. So just for what it's worth, there you have it. So if I just for the moment looking at this picture to kind of fully illustrate how the game is being played, I go here and I just highlight what's going on with these books, the colored books, the green, the blues. There are your, once again, your Marvel, your DC, your Dark Horse, those books, taking away all the YA, the manga, Dogman, and you just see what kind of impact these titles are having, where the only one that's really making any kind of movement is the Marvel Encyclopedia, which is an encyclopedia more geared toward the movies. And then your second one there is Three Jokers, which is brand new in the market, selling well, but it's very new, very early. And then you're down to Primer, which is a YA kind of graphic novel, but doesn't really have anything to do with DC, even though it's printed by DC. And that then you've got Umbrella Academy, you've got Watchmen, you have The Boys. All 3 of those are really getting a lot of their success from movies. And it just, when I talk about where the comic business is struggling or where the real action is, this is a picture to kind of contemplate. This is why DC and Marvel are chasing YA. It's exactly why. Now, I think they're doing a terrible, dumb job of it, but this is why they're doing it. I mean, it's very, very clear why they're doing it from this picture. But it also, and again, this is a current month snapshot. Historically, over time, the numbers would look much different. Watchmen sold quite a few copies in its past. It's been out for a long time. It should have. But if you start to take in the historical data from Watchmen, you also have to take in this historical data for things like Guts and Smile, Raina Telgemeier. You get these numbers from Dogman. Dogman's been selling at really high numbers the entire time. This is a month snapshot. If you imagine a world where we've got the full copy sold of all the Dogman stuff, this picture will not change terribly in terms of where the action is and where the sales are happening from. It's an interesting picture. Again, this is just Amazon. A lot of people can look at this video and certainly poke holes in it. I tried to poke holes in the video myself. I tried to actually pre-poke the holes, so you kind of get a sense of where the action is and how you should be looking at this chart. This isn't anything you should take. You should not take this data and run off and do a bunch of videos about it. You should not take this data and say, hey, here's proof that the US comic market is dying or anything like that. It's just data. It is one piece of the picture, and you can do a lot of analysis and read it different ways. But I wanted to put this out there because, one, we haven't talked a lot about Amazon numbers and what they do. Two, really illustrate the point of why these companies are going after YA. And then three, this is Dav Pilkey's world at this point. This guy, Captain Underpants Dogman is just taking all the cash. And these are the people who are buying this stuff are largely kids, and these are the readers of tomorrow. This is your comic buying audience of the future coming in here buying Dogman. So fast forward 10 years, in theory, this market should be really strong because you've got a lot of kids who are getting into graphic novels, excited about it right now. Where will they go? Will they go to Marvel, DC, or will they go somewhere else? They're here. They're spending money. So what's going to happen? It's some interesting stuff. I hope that this look at the data was interesting for you. It's eye-opening for me to look at it this way and see it presented. So hopefully you liked it. If not, it's a free video. Fuck it. What do I care? Sorry. I hope you liked it though. But hey, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. I'll keep doing these. I've got to slow it down a little bit. I mean, I'm fascinated by all this number crunching, but there are limits. I've got to get to the other 5,000 videos I do. I mean, come on. Anyway, leave a comment below, and thanks for listening.